Going to call to order. Today is Tuesday, December 21st. The Rules and Confirmations and Public Elections. Committee members, if there's not any objection, I would like for us to take our elections and confirmations first due to we have such a small number present. Are there any objections to that? Thank you so much, committee members. Seeing none, Ms. Anna Flores. This is for the Community Corrections Advisory Board for a term expiring August 31st, 2023. Ms. Flores, if you can come before the committee and sit in this seat right here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
For having me. Right here?
Yes, ma'am. And I believe your microphone is on.
Test.
It is.
It is.
Just bring it closer to you.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you so much. Has any information changed since you submitted your questionnaire?
No, it is not.
Thank you so much. And just briefly explain to the committee why you're seeking to serve.
I moved to Tennessee from Southern California to be closer to my family. I've worked in being a public servant as an officer for about 15 years. I currently work for the parole department through the Tennessee Department of Corrections, and I feel that it is fair to give a good, sound decision, not to jump to making decisions, and I think that I would be a good representative for my department.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from committee members? Okay, can I get a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you so much, Ms. Flores. You're being recommended.
Thank you.
If you want, you may stick around too once we begin the council meeting because the vice members likes to acknowledge the confirmations as well too,
Okay,
if you want to. Okay, we have the Stormwater Management Committee, Mr. Jay Fulmer. This is for a term expiring October 31st, 2025. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Fulmer. Has any of your information changed since you submitted your questionnaire?
No, ma'am, it is not.
Okay, and just briefly explain to the committee why you're seeking to serve.
I serve on a few different guiding committees for Metro Stormwater right now, and some of the executives at Metro Water asked me if I'd be willing to serve on the Stormwater Management Committee, and when called to serve, I want to step up and do my part.
Thank you so much. Any questions, concerns from committee members? Councilwoman Evans.
Hey, Mr. Fulmer, thank you for being willing to serve in this capacity. I had the opportunity to appear in front of the Stormwater Management Committee just recently about a variance request. And one of the things that was very illuminating is how much lack of education, I would say, that between myself, I probably knew more than my constituents, but there were a lot of folks that didn't understand some of the parameters around the request. And so when you think about your role in evaluating issues as part of this committee, where do you feel like public education and educating folks comes into play? Because I think I had more people attend probably who may not have attended if they had had some additional information on the front end.
I think it's very valuable, and there's also a balance. There's a whole lot of the requests are relative to buffer signages, to educational moments. We've had projects where we've sought variances and included informational signs that are above and beyond and sort of describe what it is we're doing and why. And I think it can be very informative and just help people all understand the importance of the different stormwater elements.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Evans. Any additional questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you so much, Mr. Fulmer. You're being recommended. Okay, committee members, I know on your agenda, we also had an appointment for Ms. Jennifer Hackett. She's not present. And also for the appointment, Mr. Brian Weems, he withdrew to be considered. So do we want to take a motion to defer Ms. Jennifer Hackett? She was notified. She's just not in attendance. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. We will defer Ms. Jennifer Hackett. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you so much, committee members. Now we're on to our agenda items. Proposed rule change, Rule 28, the public address in the council. During the public comment period held at the second regular council meeting of each month and at the discretion of the vice mayor, individuals shall be allowed to speak up to 2 minutes each. During all other public hearings, individuals shall be allowed to speak for up to 2 minutes regarding each matter. Members of the public may address the council in public hearing format regarding a specific resolution or ordinance when a public hearing is not otherwise required by law. If the council approves a council member's motion by a simple majority vote of the council members present at such meeting to allow members of the public to address the council, such motion shall specify the subsequent meeting at which the public hearing is to take place. The clerk shall keep time in accordance with this rule. Essentially, this proposed rule change is changing the motion from 2/3 to a simple majority. Is there a motion on the rule change? Councilwoman Evans.
I just wanted to say the reason why I wanted to bring this forward is because I feel like our body should be including or encouraging more public engagement. We all have our own individual, district meetings and things of that nature. But when it comes to contentious topics, I'll use LPRs as an example. 27 may have been a heavy lift potentially to get there, but I think we need to encourage more public communication about topics that affect our entire county in front of this body as opposed to isolated district locations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Evans. Any other committee members for discussion? Councilwoman Murphy.
Thank you. I'm a little concerned. We've had 2/3 for a while, and that is obviously for, to make sure that this is not just a flash pan type of response. We want to make sure that we're having a good dialogue, that it's prepared, that the public is notified of it in advance, so we can hear both sides when these issues come up and we want to have a public hearing. I'm a little concerned about dropping it down to the simple majority and was wondering if we have any history on whether it was a simple majority in the past before it was changed to 2/3 or vice versa. I don't know if Hannah has that or if we need to research a little bit more there.
Okay, there we go. So I don't have the history on that in front of me, but that is something that I could research. I'm not aware of it being a lower vote threshold. I don't remember it being raised to 2/3 in the last rules change, for example, but I don't know if it was ever lower.
Okay. And then I guess I would like to know a little bit more if it had been changed in previous recent councils. And then also just wondering if, I know that the sponsor of this has given an example of LPRs, but just wondering if there were other issues that this has been invoked and has not made the 2/3 and how often it has not made the 2/3. If that is something that's, I assume it's probably tracked in our minutes. I don't know how difficult that is for staff to pull, but I think that would be really helpful when considering this. And because again, like I said, I want to make sure that we are open to the public, but I want to make sure that there is ample notice for all sides to be considered, and then just the history so we can make sure we're not setting ourselves up for something we don't intend either way.
Great points, Councilwoman Murphy. Councilwoman Johnston.
Council Lady Murphy, in her second point, sort of articulated what I wanted to know, which was how many times have we had a situation where the public hearing was denied because we were within that threshold of simple majority and 2/3, just to know, is this a problem that we're correcting, or is this, I just kind of want to know how necessary this is. I mean, rule changes are kind of a big deal.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Johnston. You got that, Hannah? Councilwoman Evans.
Thank you. I just wanted to go back and comment on kind of the idea that it would be kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision if we were to approve this rule change and then also vote in favor of allowing a public hearing when it's not required. Because as part of the motion, we would be also offering when that meeting is going to take place. So there would be ample time for public hearing and public notice. So that way everybody would be prepared. And also the idea of kind of going back and looking at the data, I think that's a really valid consideration, but I think that the notion of 27 is a deterrent for many of us to offer to want to have a public hearing. So I wanted to put that out there as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Evans. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not on the committee, so I appreciate you letting me chime in. One other note I might throw out there for the committee to consider is that who gets to make the motion, essentially, because I do recall in a couple of instances over the last decade plus where there had been motions made on this that were not the sponsor of the bill for the public hearing, and so sometimes those public hearing motions were made maybe not against the wishes of the sponsor, but maybe not in consultant with the sponsor of the bill. So it's just something for the committee to consider about whether that could be used as a tool with unintended purposes. Thank you.
Great perspective also, Councilman Sledge. So what I'm hearing from the committee is that we need to do more research, a little more due diligence on this rule change. I can recall when Vice Mayor, which is within the parameters of the rules and with him being president of the body, he always have the discretion of opening up a public hearing, and he's invoked that in my 6 years, I believe, twice. One after the shooting, Councilman Withers, I believe you remember that, and there was another time too where he opened up a public hearing as well. So we're just discussing the proposed rule change. I need a motion on the floor so this can come back to the committee. Are we deferring? What are we doing, committee members? What are we doing, committee members, on the proposed rule change? Thank you so much, Councilwoman Murphy. It's been moved and properly seconded for a 2-meeting deferral. We've given the notes to staff for them to research, and we're just going to do a little more due diligence on this rule change. So we need to vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, proposed rule change is deferred for 2 meetings. Now we're on to resolutions. RS 2021-1304, sponsor Murphy, recognizes the Metro Public Health Department's national accreditation by the Public Health Accreditation Board. Is there a motion? Councilwoman Murphy.
I felt it was important to recognize this honor that the health department received, not just because it is an honor that they received, but because they received it in response to their COVID-19 reactions and leadership. And I think given recent changes in state law and their ability to continue to perform, I wanted to make sure that our health board knew that we appreciated their leadership over the past several months, years of the pandemic, and all the work that they've done for us, along with the health department. So again, just wanted to make sure that we went on the record publicly that they were nationally recognized. They were doing a great job, and it's just unfortunate that we're not going to be able to carry on in that same way.
It's a great resolution, Councilwoman Murphy.
So with that, I'd like to renew my motion to approve.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, resolution is recommended. I believe we have one late item. There's a late ordinance. Councilman Parker?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, so this is a zoning bill. This was rezoned, this property was rezoned. We substituted it on third reading. I substituted on third reading based on information that was communicated to me by someone who has now been said is not representative of the project. So what I told these folks is I would try to just reintroduce the initial bill and we could kind of start over. It'll still be publicly noticed and have a hearing on second reading and all that stuff. So I'd ask for colleagues' support on getting this heard on first reading tonight.
Okay. Are there any objections of this late file from committee members? Okay, thank you so much, Councilman Parker, for Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This isn't on his, but I wasn't sure if I needed to. I've got a timely filed, but third reading and substitute. I can't remember if those have to come to rules.
Okay.
Because I will have to. That's what I assume. I don't remember the council member from District 35 having been recognized.
Councilman O'Connor, this is Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Oh, that's true. I
Yeah,
forgot.
so-
He has privileges of the floor, if I
Yeah,
recall.
so you may want to remember that when it comes time for you to do your announcements. He may not recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did have a late item, or not a late item. It's a timely filed item that I'm going to have to suspend the rules for. Did you have it in your packet?
I do not.
Okay. Well, dang, now he's just lucked out. It would have been helpful to have him here. Maybe, I just saw Ms. Zeitlin. I do have an item to suspend the rules on, so I guess we'll just do that when we get to it.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, they're doing some research as it relates to one of the appointments.
We can just, I imagine we can handle it on the floor if need be.
Yeah.
We can say, oh, there he is.
You say what, Councilwoman Murphy?
I'll check with him real quick. All right, never mind. We don't need it.
Chair Vercher, whether we need Freddy's or not, I'm okay with it. Secondly, I understand that we've started meeting in the chamber because we've been very tight in committee rooms in the past. But I am concerned that what is happening during rules is we have so many side conversations, people moving in and out, and I don't feel like we're having the quality of conversation with our appointees and nominees. And so could we revisit the movement of our committee into the chamber in the future? Is that something we could discuss?
Absolutely. I believe the decision was made with the prior committee. So absolutely.
Oh, no. It was definitely not the prior committee.
Yeah,
So I think we
not
just got
intimate.
scheduled
It's
in
not
here.
intimate for me. I feel like I'm all the way up here. Y'all all the way.
Yeah,
I
think
don't like it either.
You're definitely trying to hurt us as a zoo, and it's not. Bless your heart on it. So anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and bring that up in the committee because I know that we are also killing a little time. And
Yeah.
if you'd like me to continue, if Hannah has something.
Yeah, what would be the pleasure of the committee so we could just get it out the way? Would everyone be okay with that? Us just going back and meeting in one of the committee rooms and leaving it up to staff to determine if we need to meet in the chamber or not, depending on the size of the appointments? Okay, I like that too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Also, committee members, while we're have a little time too, don't forget about the other proposed rule change as well. If you can check your emails and provide your feedback regarding that too, so we can get that done. Vice Mayor had charged myself and Councilman Syracuse as it related to the other rule change as well.
So the administration is
Okay.
I don't know if that's something that
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah, just so it's on the record. Okay, committee members, so I've been informed that the administration is also going to withdraw the Special Solid Waste and Recycling Commission appointment of Ms. Jennifer Hackett as well. So just for a matter of record, we have 2 withdrawals for tonight for the Special Solid Waste and Recycling Commission. That's appointment of Mr. Brian Weems as well. Is there any other committee business?
I'm just standing here. I'm doing my court.
Seeing none, meeting is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.